Welcome back, everyone, to 12 Today. 5:11 is the time now when we continue our coverage this morning of President Trump launching missiles into Syria. Joining us this morning is Dr. Jasser with the American Islamic Forum. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
First off, I have to ask your reaction to these strikes.
I have to tell you, as the son of Syrian immigrants, refugees, we have a sense of catharsis. For the first time, there has been a force for good acting against evil, acting against the genocidal regime of Assad. And it's taken 6 years. I think the way we got here was we got whiplash. Last week, Secretary Tillerson made a statement that Assad will basically be up to the Syrian people, which was basically Assad's talking points, giving him the green light. So it's not a coincidence that 4 or 5 days later, they then mobilized chemical weapons and launched them against Idlib. When Aleppo, where our family is, was being massacred and carpet bombed over the last 6 months, they said, next we're going to Idlib. And when they got the green light from Tillerson saying, well, it's up to the Syrian people, they basically said, we're going to act. So now, President Trump, Secretary Tillerson, Ambassador Haley woke up and said, oh my gosh, they actually use chemical weapons again. Different than President Obama. We now have a president who will listen to his military recommendations. They did a risk assessment and said, we have to make sure regimes like the Assad regime know that America will act for good against evil.
Okay, but what about the consequences of these strikes? Because a lot of people obviously fear retaliation from Assad.
Let's make it clear. We have been at war. You have a regime which claims to be working against ISIS, that ISIS exists because they've avoided it while they massacred 500,000 people dead, 10 million displaced. Assad and Russia were not working to get rid of ISIS. Why else would we have to be there to get rid of ISIS in Raqqa and northern Iraq and elsewhere if Assad was really doing that? So we're at war. The risk assessment actually has decreased now because Assad will blink in the future when he uses and starts to threaten regional powers. This is only a few miles away from Israel that he mobilized and operationalized chemical weapons. So our allies are at risk. This is why Arab allies now are very much in favor of what we did. It's a new day as far as the threat regionally from Iran, Russia, and Assad.
And speaking of Russia and somebody who apparently obviously is not our ally, we know that the relationship between Russia is very tense. We know that Russia has helped militarily Assad's regime. So this has a lot of people worried, a lot of people fearful. Could this lead to a war with Russia? Because now we are face to face.
Well, certainly this is a new Cold War, if you will.
Right.
Many of us in the Syrian community felt that the day Syria went into hospice was September 2015 when Russia started running operations. They have a base in Tartus. They've now opened air strips in Latakia. So yes, this is their client state. But I think if anything, we can rest assured that now we know the needle is not tipping from the Trump administration towards Russia and Assad, but rather away from them. And I think Russia will always make a larger calculation. This is not an area that they want to see us in conflict. We already have a memorandum of understanding with them that they were notified before we did this. So we don't have false illusions that somehow now the strategy has changed to get rid of Assad. I think at least now the containment has begun.
So this strike, it was deemed necessary, obviously, because, you know, you go back to 2013 when President Obama was in line, and he did not do anything when there was a chemical attack back in 2013. 2 days later, you've got Trump acting swiftly as soon as he got immediate notice of this chemical warfare.
I think for a long time the American military has been giving our commander-in-chief recommendations to do something, or else evil will continue to be unleashed if they don't see that there's a price to pay. This president, 77 days in, saw the pictures, said, not under my watch will this continue to violate international chemical weapons agreements, UN declarations, etc. President Trump said this will not happen. And this is how we got here. 8 years of the Assad regime, Putin, Iran sending 40,000, 50,000 troops into Syria, realizing that nothing will happen if they continue to move forward. So President Trump acted, and the Syrian community today for the first time is feeling a sense of catharsis. Does it mean Assad will go? That hasn't been the verbiage yet, but the shift is extremely welcome.
And what do you want to see personally, because you are affected by this? This hits home for you.
It really does. You know, for the first time, we're starting to say that maybe there is a light at the end of this tunnel. There needs to be a strategy. I'm waiting to hear what the strategy is. It should be, number one, demand that Russia and Iran withdraw so that it truly is a civil war. Second, demand that Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Turkey stop radicalizing the Syrian population with just feeding the al-Qaeda type groups. Third, start to have no-fly zones so that humanitarian relief and real moderate groups can begin to organize. And fourth, then usher out the exit of the evil Assad regime.
Okay, Dr. Jasser, we thank you so much for your insight and your time this morning.
Thank you, Tran.